All right, I will go ahead and get started. As Luca mentioned, this will be in English, so I apologize if you did not expect that. Um, my name is John, and I am with Origin Protocol. We are building a blockchain platform for decentralized marketplaces, and I'll go into some detail as far as what that means and why it matters to this space for vacation rentals. So, a little over 20 years ago, the way that people transacted and bought goods and services completely changed thank you to the internet, and specifically a couple of these services, eBay and Craigslist. They created what is commonly called today as a peer-to-peer marketplace, and there are many, many others. Airbnb is obviously the large one in this space. And they fundamentally changed the way people transact online and bought goods and services. But I want to mention this quote here from my colleague Coleman. At Origin, we envision that one day these peer-to-peer marketplaces will actually be truly peer-to-peer instead of peer to giant corporate monopoly to peer. And thanks to the blockchain, you're able to actually do this in the context of vacation rentals in this case. So why is this important? Why would you want to remove this middleman from these marketplaces and make them truly peer-to-peer? So the first reason, which is generally what people think of first, is to lower fees. These marketplaces tend to have very high transaction fees, usually 20 to 30%. Sometimes, especially in extreme cases, they are much, much higher. And thank you to this blockchain technology, if you can cut out this middleman, you can remove these fees with it. And largely, these fees are justified just by simply matching a buyer and a seller. In order to do this, these services have databases with your information. They collect your data, they silo this data because this is proprietary, this is what allows them to charge these fees, and they don't like to share it with anybody, with competitors, or with even others that want to build on top of them. So this is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle here. The next reason is to redistribute value in a much more fair and equitable way. So if you think about what the first Airbnb hosts are doing today, they're probably still hosting on Airbnb, and they're actually probably making less than they were on day one. As these intermediaries gain in popularity and become monopolies, they're able to extract more and more fees from both the buyers and the sellers. But with blockchain, you're able to actually redistribute value more fairly using these cryptocurrencies. So the first hosts of the decentralized version of Airbnb that will be built on the blockchain will actually able to participate in the growth of the network, and they will benefit as this network grows and becomes more successful, rather than just the founders or just the investors benefiting. The entire network is able to benefit as well. Thirdly, we want to promote open commerce. So one of the first things I noticed when visiting this beautiful city is that they don't have Uber, which is tough for a consumer. If you've come to get used to using Uber, it's tough to go somewhere without it. There are many, many examples of Airbnb being regulated out of existence in certain cities. There are many cities that do not have Airbnb, and this is for many different reasons. It could be that the government doesn't like them for whatever reason. It could be that it's not worth it to Airbnb because they can't make enough money from a certain region. So we're excited to be able to allow for some of these new markets to benefit from these home sharing services, regardless of whether or not Airbnb wants to get into that region. And lastly, this is probably the most important to us. It's probably a little bit longer term, but it's very big and it's very important. And this is to serve the unbanked. There are billions and billions of people in this world that do not have a credit card. They do not have a bank account. And therefore, they are not able to participate in these sharing economies. But what they do have is access to cheap Android smartphones, many of which will have wallets, cryptocurrency wallets, that will allow them to participate in these sharing economy marketplaces. And we think that they will actually, many of these unbanked citizens will leapfrog traditional financial systems. And the first experience they have with a sharing economy will be because of a cryptocurrency-powered, blockchain-powered marketplace. So we are building a technology and a platform that will enable decentralized marketplaces all over the world. We'll talk a lot about home sharing today, but it's important to realize that what we are building is not specific for home sharing, and we are not building a new Airbnb ourselves. We are partnering with other marketplaces, such as Trips, which has presented here today, and we are excited about all of the different types of marketplaces that will be built on this. It could be experience marketplaces, it could be services marketplaces that serve the users of these home sharing economies. So this is live today. The blockchain space is very, very early, and there is a lot of work that still needs to be done today in order for the experience to match what people are used to with something like Airbnb. But we do have a very early version up today. You can check it out at dapp.originprotocol.com, and you will see some listings, in fact, from some of our partners, including Trips, for home sharing, for homes that you can purchase a night in or many nights in. This is the Origin team, and the main reason that I include this slide here is for people like this guy right here. His name is Yupan. Yupan is one of the 6 co-founders of PayPal. He was there before Elon Musk, and he was the first employee of YouTube. And so why is Yupan working on building Origin? It's probably not for the money. It's probably because he's really excited about the technology, and more importantly, he is excited about what this can bring to the world. We have since hired several others from the early PayPal and YouTube days, and these are the people that built Web 2.0, and they're excited about building the next internet, Web 3.0, which is based on the blockchain. We're also backed by some of the best investors throughout the world. You can see here that we have raised money from people all over the world, not just where we're based in the United States, in San Francisco, but in Asia, in Europe, etc. And some of these people are very integral to the internet that you use and love today. So one of the first advisors of Uber, Steve Jang, is an investor. Some of the angel investors of Google, Lyft, PayPal, LinkedIn are investors in Origin. And the founder of Reddit, which is the 3rd largest site on the internet, Alexis Ohanian, is also an investor. We've raised $38 million to date. And we are excited about all of the different markets that these investors cover. And we will continue to try to get our tokens in the hands of people from throughout the entire world in all of these different areas. Because we're excited about not something like Airbnb taking over the entire world, or a decentralized version of it taking over the entire world, but rather more localized versions of these home sharing economies. So Trips is here in Italy, and they are working on the market here. We have home sharing services that are built on Origin in other parts of the world, like Korea and Japan. And they are focused on a more local experience from local hosts, rather than this global brand that is taking over the entire world. So today we have over 40 partners that have committed to building on Origin. Some of them, like Trips, have already begun. And again, they represent not just home sharing, but all sorts of different types of marketplaces for goods and services. And there are many that are relevant to this space. Of course, there's home sharing. You can imagine a hotel marketplace being built on Origin, experiences, etc. And we are excited to see what will be built on Origin. We don't know what the future holds, but we're very excited to see which types of marketplaces build these decentralized sharing economies. And the way we're going about this is we are building this in an open source manner. All of the code that we write is publicly available for anybody to use and to check out. We do all of our communication and our collaboration out in the open, so you are able to join our discussion. Every week we also have a public engineering call that anybody who is interested on building on Origin or being involved in any way can join and understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and if they would like, they can help contribute in a number of different ways. So how can people in this space help and join? I think when it comes to just simply hosts and guests, there's going to be, in the very short term, more and more inventory and more users getting onboarded onto these decentralized sharing economy marketplaces. We're also going to be building a marketplace creator. So you can build your own marketplace for your portfolio of properties. And it's important to understand here that we are not just trying to become the next middleman. We do not charge any fees. We are completely open source. You could go today and build one of these marketplaces and you don't have to pay us any money. Channel managers and others building software, for example, for this space. In the future, you will be able to connect to Origin. And this is permissionless. You don't have to ask for our permission to do this. All of the data is publicly available. Anybody can access it. You don't need an API key that we have control over. You don't need to pay us any money. You can go and access this data and start building applications on top of it, start plugging this information into your applications, etc. And lastly, just anybody who's interested at all in what we're up to, please join our channels. We are on Discord, Telegram. We write very regularly on Medium. You can go to our website, originprotocol.com. I'll have some links later. But just join the discussion. It's very early, like I mentioned, in the entire blockchain space. And we are also very early in our development. And what that means is that you, the community members, the people that care about this space, can contribute and help us decide the direction that we go, help us decide which features and functionalities we want to include in our platform that can help serve your space, your users, your customers. So very quickly, I just wanted to show a real example of this in action. Like I mentioned, this is live today. I will be traveling to Venice after this, and Trips has done a great job of putting a lot of their inventory onto our first version of our DApp. So I went ahead and I booked a room for a night here in Venice. And the idea is that we want this to feel and look very similar to what you guys expect today out of Airbnb, Booking.com, etc. People will not use these services just because they're built on the blockchain or just because they're decentralized. They're going to use them because it's a good experience. And although there are some challenges that we're still working on to make it easier and easier for a user to go through this experience, you can go ahead today and use this to book a night in one of Trip's properties or one of our partners' properties. So I went ahead and I purchased a night here. This is something called MetaMask. I don't want to go into too much detail, but this is one of the points of friction. This is one of the reasons it is difficult today to interact with these applications that are built on the blockchain. But there are many solutions coming, again, to make this experience very similar to what you're used to today. We envision a future where the user doesn't even need to know that the application that they're using is powered by the blockchain. Just like when you go to Amazon, you click a button and you get something shipped to you. You don't know all of the details and all the technology that's involved in this process, and frankly, you don't need to know and you don't want to know. You just want your good shipped to your home as quickly as possible for as cheap as possible. And this is the future we are trying to build so that a user can go, book a house, and not even know that it's powered by blockchain, but they're able to take advantage of all the benefits that are brought by building these applications on the blockchain. And a big part of this is messaging. So as soon as I booked this spot, Luca messaged me and said, hey, your room's ready. I will send you the details when you need them. And it's important to understand that this messaging is also truly peer-to-peer. It's fully encrypted, and it's secure messaging directly from me, the user, to the host. The interesting thing here is that we have built it so that if there are any issues, if there's a dispute, we can allow for a third party to arbitrate, and they can have access to these messages and your transaction history to understand what has happened and make a decision one way or another. And so the last step, which I will complete here in a day or so, is once I've stayed at this property, I can go ahead and mark the sale as completed and leave a review. And until I do this, the funds that I used, which today are a cryptocurrency called Ether, and we will support many different cryptocurrencies, and eventually hope to support fiat currencies as well, like US dollars and euros. This money is held in escrow until I have gone in, stayed at the home, and left a review. So that's it. Please check it out and visit our website for some more information, originprotocol.com. I'm also happy to answer any questions you have today here or via email, Jon, J-O-N, @originprotocol.com. Thank you very much.